Hello everyone, my name's Josh. This is just a web series where I discuss and show all the things that interest me and hopefully interest a lot of you as well. Today I'm going to be talking about a subject that you guys have heard over and over and over again, and you guys are probably sick of it, but I've been wanting to do one of these videos for a long time, discussing what I think went wrong and, the whole process and how I feel about the movie. I'm talking about Ghostbusters 2016. So, first off, I'd like to discuss the fact that I don't think that anybody wanted a reboot. The reboot is the first step in a long list of bad ideas that Sony's high execs, Amy Pascal, came up with to kind of like revamp or change, or breathe new life into the Ghostbusters franchise. I think all the fans out there, they wanted to have a sequel. They wanted their Ghostbusters 3 sequel, like everybody was, they promised. For years and years, Dan Aykroyd kept promising, we've got a sequel in the works, the Ghostbusters 3 script is out, but Bill Murray has a problem with it, he doesn't like something, or something's wrong with it, blah, blah, blah. So, unfortunately, years down the road, when it still didn't go through, and Harold Ramis passed away, it kind of was like the final blow to the Ghostbusters 3 script, and because of that, Amy Pascal started thinking of ways to reboot or breathe new life into the series. So obviously you know that Paul Feig directed the movie and he wanted to do it his way. He turned it down 3 times. He was asked 3 times to direct this movie, but it was a Ghostbusters 3. It wasn't a reboot. It was a continuation of the story, and there was kind of already a script from Dan Aykroyd that was already out there, and Ivan Reitman was still involved in the whole process. And Paul Feig didn't want that. He didn't want anything to do with, being led by somebody. He wanted his own thing. He wanted a reboot. He wanted to do it his way or no way. And so what happened is that, as we all know, that's what happened. Amy Pascal booted Ivan Reitman out and said, okay, you've got the reins. There was a script sent over that she got and she read, and apparently she liked. I read and was terrified by it because it sounded like a pile. But it ended up happening. So as time went on, they released that the 4 leads were female actresses, which I don't have a problem with. And I don't think a lot of people out there did not have a problem with female actresses being leads. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing, female actresses can do the same job as males can. They can do whatever. It had nothing to do with that. Sure, there are some people out there that I'm sure were like grumbling. It's like, oh, great. Here we go. Me personally, I was bummed more of the fact when I heard about this is that it was basically telling me that the surviving cast members of Ghostbusters were not going to be the leads, not going to be involved in the process. So Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, and Uri Hudson, the 3 remaining Ghostbusters, were not going to be busting ghosts. So after that, more time went on, and then they released the first trailer to Ghostbusters, and became famous for the most disliked trailer in YouTube history, in movie YouTube history. And Sony was going in and deleting negative comments because people hated it, and rightfully so. The trailer was just god-awful. It was confusing. When they first released it, they said 4 scientists saved New York. And right off the bat, that is confusing because, first off, there wasn't 4 scientists. There was 3 scientists, and Uri Hudson's character, Winston, who wasn't a scientist at all. He was just looking for a steady paycheck. So people were confused right off the bat. Right off the bat, people were already like, what? You told us this was a reboot. What are you talking about? So then they go on to the trailer itself, and it's just like the whole thing is just not funny. And not that Ghostbusters was meant to be hilarious. The original ones aren't out there to make you, knee slappers. You're not like laughing and catching your breath. So, it wasn't really about that. It's just they tried to make the movie Ghostbusters 2016 funny, and it just wasn't funny. People did not laugh. It was more of just like one of those facepalm things that I can't believe that that's what you've done to this movie. Like, you want people to go see your movie, and you give us this for its first trailer. That's not going to get people in seats. That's not going to get people hyped or talking about it or tweet about it, any of that. They're going to just say, wow, this is crap. I'm not going to go see this. And then they're going to discuss how bad it is, which it happened. And then it started going out there where people were discussing how bad the trailer is. Did you see the trailer? No. Let me go watch the trailer. Oh my god, it's terrible. So, that was trailer 1. Trailer 2 came out a little bit down the road and was slightly, just very so slightly better. They added a little bit of new content in there and toned down a little bit of what made the first trailer so bad. But still, it was not good. It was not going to get me to go see the movie, not going to get people, the general audience, to go see it, because it wasn't gripping. It wasn't what a trailer is supposed to do. A trailer is supposed to suck you in to go see it, to get your butt in that seat and spend money to go see it. And it didn't do it. So, by then, it was already just this train wreck of bad press, bad everything. Everybody was just hating on it and trashing it and just, everything was ending. Mass hysteria, cats and dogs, living together. It was, people just were done with it already. And one thing after another, it just kept going downhill, because after that, I know Paul Feig did a lot of press stuff with the bad comments that people were sending, putting on the YouTube channel and everything else, sending him messages and whatnot, and he addressed everybody, calling geek fandom all assholes. And that couldn't have been the worst. The worst thing you could possibly say to your fans, to anybody that you're trying to get to spend money to see what you've put out there, it doesn't get any worse than that. It's just like you're literally smacking everybody in the face saying, yes, I spent a bunch of money on this, or Sony spent a lot of money to make this movie, had to pay our actresses and everything else, but don't go see the movie, because we don't want to recoup our costs. And that's what it was like. It was like you telling us, I don't care what you have to think. I don't care how you feel about the movie. I don't care if you dislike it or whatever the case may be. I don't care. This is how I wanted to do it. This is the final product. It is what it is. So that hurt them even worse. I mean, by now it's like already people were disgusted by it, and then just to even capitalize on, you know, how people's hatred of the movie already, it basically further ruined any profits that the movie was trying to get. So then, the soundtrack was the new Ghostbusters theme soundtrack was released by Fall Out Boy and Missy Elliott, and I remember the first time that I clicked play, because already I had heard from other people that it was just god awful. So, but naturally I had to watch it because I wanted to hear it for myself. And I really had a hard time getting past the 1 minute mark. It was so just god awful. It had no feeling of the original song. No connection. You know, a couple of the words were the same, but you couldn't even, it's like there was no link to the original song. You didn't feel like you were watching a Ghostbusters movie. The first two Ghostbusters movies, when that song starts up at the beginning of the movie, it's like you know what you're watching. It's you love it. It's so catchy. You know, you can sing it. It's like everybody knows the song. Nobody's gonna sing this new song. It was never posted on the radio. I know a lot of, or at least I never heard it on the radio. I know a lot of movie soundtracks that people put out, they end up on the radio, you know, to kind of hype the movie or whatever. Never once did I hear this. And I'm glad, because I would have skipped over it. I mean, it was just terrible. It's just not something that you're going to want to listen to. It's not catchy. It was just bad. So then you have, skipping forward, you have the release of Ghostbusters 2016. And I cannot tell you how many pictures that I have seen where people were in the theater opening and there was nobody else in the theater. Empty. The gross for that weekend, its opening weekend, was only about $46 million, which is an absolute flop. When a movie costs over $100 million, you know, its budget was like $154 million, and they got a little tax cut of $10 million, so it became $144 million. A very high budget movie. It's a special effect driven movie, and there's costs involved. And when you only make $46 million in a weekend, where some movies this summer, like Civil War or Deadpool, basically face rolled that number, there's no way to look at it other than it's a complete flop. It's a total failure. And in today's standards, it is a failure. But nobody wanted to say it was a failure because of the backlash people were getting because it starred 4 females. And truth be told, it has nothing to do with the 4 actresses being females. It has to do with the movie itself. The movie itself was not funny. It hated on men any chance it could get. It wasn't progressive as far as I'm concerned. I mean, there was no purpose to have 4 females leading. I mean, there was no connection there. There was nothing. If you would have connected these females, or a couple of the females, hell, even one female, to the original cast, and said, this is my daughter. You know, this could be Bill Murray's daughter, or Dan Aykroyd's daughter, or whoever's daughter in the movie, and link it to the first 2 and not wipe it out. Wiping it out was just the worst idea. People did not want it. It's a season of reboots and sequels, and I think people are just completely fed up with it. They do not want reboots anymore. Sequels aren't as bad as reboots because at least it's a continuation of a story that's already been there. But reboots are just, they have a horrible track record. They never make them better or even as good as the first movie. So if you can't make it better or as good just with a different take on it, then why make it at all? It's just, it hurts the movie. Like, there's no purpose for us to go see a movie that is not going to be as good as the first one. And, you know, when they did Total Recall, when they did the Conan remake, when they did Judge Dredd, I was kind of like, alright, it's not bad. RoboCop had bits and pieces that I thought were okay, and the technology kind of took it in the right direction, but the movie was just, There was just nothing great about the movie. And that's what this had. That's what Ghostbusters had. It was just trash. It wasn't funny like they wanted it to be funny. They wanted it to make a comedy horror, and there was no laughing. Like, there was chuckles at best during the whole movie. And you know, there's I'm sure everybody that saw it they had cameos of all the original actors, but they had nothing to do with their characters in the movie, and it was an abundance of them. So many, it was just drawing from the movie. It's like, okay, this is Ghostbusters 2016, but oh, this is the original cast that's also in the movie, but have nothing to do with the movie, but we're going to put it in your face anyway to make it so you guys realize that we know you wanted the original actors, so we're going to put them in there, but not in their former selves. And then, you know, the movie continued to just drop off. After the first weekend, it made even less money. You know, there's a bunch of stuff out there that they're projecting major losses, 70 to 100 million plus losses. It just goes to show you that in Hollywood, you guys have got to listen to your fans. 100%. Do not diss on your fans. Your fans are what pay for you to make money. If you're going to put out a movie, listen to your fans. If your fans are in an uproar because of something you released, then you've made a mistake. You've done something wrong to anger fans. And if you want our money, you need to rethink what you're doing. I know that obviously they cost money to reshoot. I know there's steps involved to do stuff like that, but time and time again, you guys have seen what happens when you do not listen to your fans, and when you try to do your own thing and make it your own way and do whatever you want to do, it doesn't work out well for you. You know, my favorite thing to tell people when I talk about this stuff with other people, I say all Hollywood has to do is you take Deadpool in one hand, a major success that they didn't want to put out because they were afraid it wasn't going to make money. It was a hard R rating that they were freaked out to put out because it just wasn't something that they thought was going to make them money. And on the other hand, you have Ghostbusters 2016, a movie they thought was progressive, it was going to have woman empowerment, it was going to make a bunch of money, it was going to just pole vault women action heroes into 2016, 2017. It was just going to make more available roles for them. And because of what had gone on with all the stuff and not listening to the fans, it was complete and utter bomb. People hated it. It was not what people wanted. Again, it had nothing to do with Melissa McCarthy, Christian McKinnon, Kate McKinnon, Christian Wiig, and Leslie Jones. There was nothing to do with them. I own plenty of Melissa McCarthy movies, I've watched a ton of them. I think she has funny films. I think there are films that's kind of like but I have no problem with her. I have no problem with Christian Wiig, and I don't really know Kate McKinnon and Leslie Jones. I don't know much about them because I'm not big into Saturday Night Live anymore, and I haven't seen them in anything else other than Ghostbusters. But it really wasn't because of them. It was just because of what they were given, the script, and everything else. They just made it into a mockery. They took the original 1984 Ghostbusters and they just took a dump. They didn't care. They just tore it apart. There was nothing about it that you were like, man, I love Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters. I love Ghostbusters 2. Maybe not as much as the first Ghostbusters, but this 2016 Ghostbusters, oh, I like it just as much. I would watch it just as much. None of that. It's forgotten. And I know I'm doing this video too late, because by now it's probably already forgotten. People are kind of like, I'm over it. You know, I don't know what DVD sales are going to be, but I don't think that it's going to be, I don't think it's going to save them. I don't think it's going to put them in the positive. Not for how much money it costs for marketing and everything else. They were really trying to drive this into people's faces with marketing and you know, showing it off, that it was out there, you know, come see our movie, you know, and I guarantee there's a high cost value in all that, and I just don't see them making their money back. So on that note, in closing, I just like to say, Hollywood, listen to your fans. Don't crap on your fans. Listen to them. Look for them. Look at them for guidance. And I guarantee you it will make more money. It will get butts and seats just like you want. But you gotta listen to us.